Welcome back. I am really excited to share with you three more surprising herbs for mood and energy. In my video last week, I shared with you three herbs that you might not typically think of for supporting mood, maybe anxiety or depression or grief, or for energy. But these herbs are actually really wonderful ways to enhance energy, improve your mood and your emotions. And I've got three more for you today. So let's jump in. I'm Michelle Brown. I am a clinical herbalist, a functional nutrition practitioner, and I train other aspiring herbalists, holistic practitioners, and health coaches how to use botanical medicine more effectively with their own clients so you can get really effective outcomes in helping your clients. And I work with my own clients as well. So I can tell you from experience that these herbs can be really amazing in helping to support our mood and energy. And one of these herbs is actually really well known. I'm sure that you've heard of it. And yet, even traditionally, it's not really known for its impact on mood or as an antidepressant, but the research tells a different story. So we'll dive into that. And then stay to the end because I also want to tell you how to use all of these herbs in an effective way to really get the results you're looking for. But I also want you to know that I have a free guide for you. So that's in the link below. And it's called the Herbal Medicine Matrix. So go ahead and grab that because I teach you the three pillars of really mastering effective herbal medicine that you need to know. And there's an invite to my free masterclass as well in that guide. So make sure you grab that. Okay, let's dive into our herbs for today. The first one I want to talk about, again, is probably an herb you know and have used. It's one of the most popular herbs today, but it's not traditionally looked at as an antidepressant or for its impact on mood and energy. But turmeric is actually really lovely at supporting our mood and can even help with things like depression. And one of the ways that it works is that it targets inflammation, specifically neuroinflammation. And this is a root cause of things like depression and anxiety. So by impacting the root cause, we're able to address these types of symptoms. And in fact, in a randomized controlled trial that was done in 2017, it showed that curcumin, which is an extract, of course, of turmeric, improved mood in major depressive disorder, especially with atypical depression, which I think is really pretty impactful. We're talking about major depressive disorder here, which is a more serious form of depression. And again, we see as we address that root cause of depression, we can really get to the results that we're looking for. I was looking at another study recently that also showed how turmeric can reduce the inflammation linked to PMS and the resulting anxiety that often accompanies PMS and reduce those symptoms. And in another study from 2022, a little more recently, there was evidence that turmeric could enhance the prefrontal cortex oxygenation and cerebral blood flow in older adults. So there's improvement in cognition and blood flow to the brain. That is always going to result in more brain energy, focus, and a better mood. And this is a really lovely herb to address not only neuroinflammation, but gut inflammation, which is also another one of those root causes of anxiety and depression, low energy, low mood. So I want you to think about herbs as not just how they're impacting our neurotransmitters when it comes to supporting mood, but often those root causes are inflammation, nutrient deficiencies, and even liver stagnation. And so the herbs that I'm sharing today are going to help correct these imbalances from multiple angles. So again, make sure you grab that Herbal Medicine Matrix guide and check that out as you want to learn how these herbs work, what their actions are, what they're actually doing in the body to support yourself and your clients. Okay, let's talk about our second herb, which again is an herb you may or may not know, but you probably definitely don't think of it in terms of supporting anxiety or depression or even maybe low energy. But that herb is nettles. Nettles is really a kind of just a common weed that most of us try to avoid, right? I remember growing up in Kansas, we would go visit my great grandmother on her little farm, and we would go play by the creek. And there might be some nettles that, if you weren't careful, you ran through a patch of nettles, you would have that really unfortunate experience of getting stung by the little hairs on nettles that would cause red, itchy welts that were really uncomfortable. I still remember that. But nettles is not just a nuisance and a weed, but it's a really nutritive tonic. And it's really rich in minerals and vitamins, and especially minerals like iron, zinc, magnesium, potassium, calcium. All of these are really crucial to neurotransmitter synthesis and mood regulation. I have seen, and clinical evidence shows that low iron can be linked to panic attacks, and low zinc can be linked to depression and anxiety. In fact, I assess these nutrients in almost all of my clients because most people coming to me for support with mood, depression, anxiety, chronic problems with sleep or energy or trauma healing, we want to look at these nutrient levels and support these. And we can do that with herbs really simply. I found a study from 2019 as well. This was a randomized control trial that showed nettles improved quality of life and reduced hot flashes in postmenopausal women. So, isn't that really interesting how addressing inflammation, supporting nutrient deficiencies, we can really bring the body back into balance? And that's our goal with herbal medicine. I like to combine this with other adaptogens and nervines and nutritive tonics. And I have one more herb I want to share with you as well that works on both the liver and the nervous system. And I even know of an herbalist that I've worked with and trained with who found it really helped her to overcome cravings for sugar and kind of a chocolate addiction that she couldn't quite kick. But before I talk about that, I want to again just really emphasize that we want to take this approach of understanding how to use herbal medicine, especially a traditional herbal medicine approach, from a root cause, systems based, really functional medicine approach. And that's what I show you in, again, that herbal medicine matrix guide that you can download below. One last herb we want to talk about before we wrap up today is dandelion. And I'm going to talk specifically about the leaf and a little bit about the flower as well, which we can actually use botanically or medicinally. And when I think about dandelion, again, another just weed that we often see growing out in our garden or our yard in the spring, but it's actually a really potent and powerful herbal medicine that can impact the body in many ways. This is a bitter herb, so if you've ever picked some dandelion leaves, or maybe you pick up some dandelion leaves at the grocery store, they're a really bitter herb, right? And that bitter taste has an affinity for the nervous system. A lot of our bitter herbs are nervines and nervous system tonics. And it's really interesting to me that actually that bitterness and that affinity for the nervous system has something of a downward grounding energetic effect on the body. And understanding the energetics of this herb is why we know that it can have more of a subtle to overt calming and stabilizing energy. And we also know it's a nutritive tonic, like just like we talked about with nettles. It's really rich in vitamins like vitamin C, D, K, Bs, as well as a lot of our minerals like calcium, magnesium, zinc, and potassium and silica, for just to name a few. And it also has an affinity for the liver. We know again, as a bitter, it's going to be a choleretic, meaning it helps to support bile function and flow. And it has a bit of a hepatoprotective effect as well. And we talked about in the last video, so if you didn't watch that one, where we talked about three other herbs that are surprising herbs for mood and energy, we talked a little bit about how the liver, in a traditional Chinese medicine perspective or understanding of herbalism, the liver has an affinity or a relationship with emotions, especially anger, but any kind of emotional upheaval, if you will, can be related to maybe liver heat or liver stagnation. So anything we can do to support the liver often helps with supporting mood and moving through stuck emotions and kind of cooling that overwhelm of our nervous system as well from that energetic pattern perspective. You can actually use the flowers of dandelion as well. You could throw them in a salad or potentially make a tea from them. They're used similarly to chrysanthemum in traditional Chinese medicine to nourish the liver and the eyes. And one reason they're so valuable in that context is they're high in a nutrient called lutein. That's what part of what gives dandelion flowers that beautiful yellow color. But lutein is actually a really important nutrient for the brain as well, which many people aren't aware of. So, lutein can have an impact on our mood, our vision, and overcoming stuck emotions because of that better energy that we can get from dandelion leaf. Okay, we talked about a lot of herbs over the last few videos that might be surprising in terms of how they impact your mood and energy. But again, that's really the beauty of using herbs in this way. When we understand their unique actions and affinities, and we understand their energetics, we know how to use herbs to support our clients in a way that gets real results. So go ahead and download that guide. I'll remind you one more time, the Herbal Medicine Matrix, and I'll show you how to start using effective botanical medicine in your work with clients or for yourself. And then I will also see you